Ciao, I'm Mary Ann Esposito. Today on Ciao Italia, Scaccia to Focaccia. I left the hotel and I went to the caseificio to see how caciocavallo cheese was made. I ended up at the caseificio Giardinella in Ragusa, and that was a good place to be because caciocavallo is one of the signature cheeses of Ragusa. Ragusa is in the southeastern part of Sicily, and I was there to see how this cow's milk cheese was made. Now, it has a really interesting shape. It has a little knob top, and then it has a kind of like a bowlish bottom. I'm sorry, but this is all I have left because I forgot you were coming over, so I grated the caciocavallo. But you can find it. It's a distinctive looking cheese when you go to a cheese store. So we're going to be using caciocavallo, which means cheese on horseback. And we're going to be using this for something that also comes from Ragusa, and that is Scaccia. Think of gotcha, but it sounds like scaccia, and it is a bread. I think of it as a outside-in Sicilian pizza. So how do you make it? It's so simple, because you can start with store-bought dough. Right, you heard me right. You know how much I love to make dough, and I've made it many, many times over the years for Ciao Italia. But I hear you. I don't have time to make dough. Okay, well, you don't have to. So there is a pound of store-bought basic dough. And so what is this? Well, it's just flour, water, and yeast. And we're going to turn it into the scaccia. So all we want to do is have the cheese ready, of course, because this is going to be the central feature of this. And we want to roll this out on a lightly floured board. So a pound of dough like this in the grocery store, you can find this in any grocery store, is going to set you back about $1.50 maybe. I don't know, because I don't often buy store-bought dough, but I wanted to do something for you that was easier than making dough from scratch. But you could also do this with dough that you make yourself. So you want to roll it out into a rough rectangle. So it's going to be baked in a bread pan. And I'm telling you, this is going to be the ugliest bread you've ever made. But it's going to taste absolutely delicious because the Sicilians say, or in Ragusa they say, that this bread has to look almost burnt, dark, dark brown. Okay, I think we're good. All right, that's roughly where I want it. I'll stretch it out a little bit. So once you have it like that, you want to get a bread pan and put a little bit of olive oil in it. Like I said, this is the ugliest loaf of bread you're ever going to eat, but it's going to taste absolutely delicious. Now my oven's on at 450. And if you're using a glass pan like this, you may want to reduce the temperature about 25 degrees to 425. If you're using a metal pan, just stay at 450. But I've used up all the other pans in this series, so now we're using glass. So 425 for this, 450 if you are using a metal pan. Now we have our dough. Give it a couple more passes. As it sits, of course, it relaxes even more. So now I want to take some tomato sauce. And you can find a nice recipe for tomato sauce on the Ciao Italia website. Here's our tomato sauce. All this is are plum tomatoes, olive oil, garlic, basil. That's it, cooked down. I'm going to take some of this tomato sauce and I'm going to put it right here down the center. Just spread it and make sure that the sauce isn't too runny. You want to have something that's pretty thick. So I go down, making a nice thin layer of sauce down the center. This is almost like a street food in a ragusa. I'm going to save a little bit for what I have to do next. So once you have that, then you can take the caciocavallo. This is cow's milk cheese, and you can spread it over. See? This is why I'm saying, to me, this is like a, you know, outside in, inside out pizza. Okay, so the cheese is over the top. It's a quick supper too for, you know, when you're really, really stressed. So then I take this side of the dough and bring it to the center, like that. See? Kind of pinch the edges here closed a little bit. Once I do that, I take the rest of this sauce, spread it right over here on the right side. See? Just like that. Then I just take a little bit more cheese. And then I take this side and I bring it over like that and pinch those edges really closed. If a little sauce spills out, that's okay. Don't worry about it. It's going to happen because the dough is going to rise in the oven. Just tighten it up. Okay. Now we have our pizza inside. Then I take this, fold it, just like that, put it right there. Okay? Gorgeous! Cover. Before we put it in the oven, this has to rise for about 30 minutes or so. Now here's one that's been rising, and you see what I told you about the tomato sauce. Don't worry if it starts to bubble up a little bit because that happens. But remember, this is going to be the ugliest loaf you've ever eaten. So now what we want to do is give this a couple pokes with a knife. And I'm going to brush it with a little bit of olive oil over the top. And we want this to really get dark, dark brown, dark brown. That was the thing that really got me when I first had this. Because, you know, before I went to Ragusa, I really had never heard of this. And how long have I been doing this show? 28 years, which only goes to prove you can always learn something about Italian regional food. This is very popular, good street food. Okay, that's looking good and fluffy. Now it's ready for the oven. In it goes. 30 minutes later, we're going to check that. It's got to be almost charcoal brown. And while that's baking, how about we make a focaccia from scratch, from Scaccia to Focaccia. So to do that, we need some yeast. So I always keep my yeast in a big jar, because you know I use a lot of it, but you can buy those little tiny packets too. And I keep the yeast in the freezer. Always keep it in the freezer, because that way it stays fresh. So when I need it, I just go to the freezer, I get it, and I'm good to go. So for this recipe, we need about 1.5 cups of warm water. About 110, I would say. Although, I should say that today, yeast is formulated so that you can put it directly into the dry ingredients. But I'm old school, so I'm going to still dissolve it into water. So if you want to add it directly to the flour and then add the water, you can do that. So we have 1.5 cups. I always gauged it in the past with a thermometer so that I knew exactly where it was. But then eventually, after I made so much dough, I could just finger test it, and I knew whether it was too warm or too hot. But you really don't have to do that, so there's no fear of killing yeast. But I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way, just so you remember. So we want about a teaspoon of yeast in water, and we just want that to dissolve. Now, this is a good way to see whether or not the yeast that you have is active. That's a good thing to do with water if you don't want to use the yeast dry. If you're not sure and the expiration date has gone beyond what you've had in your pantry, you want to put it in a little water. So if it gets chalky and it starts to bubble up, you know that that's good. So I'm just going to mix that around a little bit just to get that dissolved, because that's really going to, the water here is going to activate the yeast as well. So while that is sitting around looking pretty, let's just leave that over here. I want to talk about the flour. So a focaccia is a flat bread, pretty much. Focaccia means, comes from the word focolare, which means hearth, at the fireside, what do I want to say, where your fireplace is. So these breads were originally made, flat breads close to the fire on maybe some sort of a clay tile or something. So we want some unbleached all-purpose flour. So in this bowl I have about 3 cups. This focaccia dough could take anywhere from 3 to 3.5 cups. I might need more water. It just depends on the flour that you used and the manipulation of it by you, by handling it. So if we need to add more water, we'll add more water. If we have to add more flour, we'll add more flour. So now you see what's happening here in the yeast. You see how it's getting foamy, bubbly? So I know that that's ready to go. So we can use that, so that's good. So with this, I want to add some salt. So about a teaspoon or so of salt in a bowl. You could do this also in a food processor if you wanted to do it in a food processor. We're going to do it by hand. So we're going to put in the yeasted water and start mixing that. And I know already that I'm going to need more flour. So I mix that around until I have something that's, you know, a slack dough, see? Like this. And to flavor this a little bit, I give it occasionally a little drip of olive oil. So a little olive oil goes in. And now I'm going to start adding more flour, just until I have this where I want it. And then we're going to have to let this dough rise until it's almost doubled in size, of course. And this is actually, people ask me, well, what is your favorite thing to do in the kitchen? And I really love to make dough. I've been making dough for many years, bread dough, pasta dough, pastry doughs, and I really enjoy that process. It's kind of a meditative process. It gets you in tune with the ingredients that you're working with because, of course, as we all know, water and flour making bread is the most basic of foods. So I still want a little bit more flour. And once I have it where I can manage it, I'm going to take this out of the bowl and work with it here on a board. I like to work on wood because I get a lot of grab. I lift it and turn it, and I see that it's sticky, so I just add flour a little bit at a time on the board, okay? Putting it on the flour and just turning it, and when it isn't sticking to the board anymore, well, then I know that I've gone as far as I'm going to go. So you take your time with this, and eventually it will come together, see? Like so. So you want to knead it, I would say about 5 minutes. If you're using a food processor, of course, it's going to take less time. But basically, that's what you're looking for, a ball that pretty much is not sticking to your hands. And you've kneaded it, turning it clockwise now and then. You'll get into a rhythm, see? So that needs about 5 more minutes of kneading. But it's looking good, and what you want to do is I put it right back in the bowl that it came in the first place. I just take that ball, my bench knife, turn it over like that, see? Put a piece of paper over it, and let it rise. It's going to take about an hour and a half. If you make the dough the day before, 2 days before, 3 days before, you've done something that is called retarding the dough, which means you've put it in a cold environment, the refrigerator. And that slows down the development of the yeast, which is what you want, because that's going to really develop the flavor. So let me show you what I mean. So I made the dough, the very dough that you just saw. And after it rose once, I put it in a bag and stuck it in the refrigerator overnight. This is an overnight dough now. Now you see what's happened here. This dough is having a happy, happy time. So now we can deflate this dough. And I want you to see there's a lot of holes in this dough. So once I open this bag, I just turn it upside down, and it smells so yeasty, so yeasty. So there it is. And it's what I like to think of as a slack dough. It's light, it's fluffy. It doesn't have a lot of flour, but I have to knead it. And it is now very, very yeasty. So I'm going to put just a little flour down on the board, because now I'm not going to roll this dough. No, I'm going to form it right on a baking pan. Some olive oil on the paper. Okay? And spread that out. All right. Now I'm going to lift up this dough and put it right there. And now I can take the paper, put it here, and just spread this dough out, because a focaccia, as I say, is flat. And here's another little tip for you. I do this with pizza, with focaccia. You want to keep those hands clean? Good. Me too. So, a little olive oil over the top. And this will help you press out this dough. This is how I make pizza. I never use a rolling pin because I want all those air bubbles. I want all those air bubbles to stay. If you're rolling like this, you know, you're flattening out everything, all those air bubbles. This is much better, much better. And you see, as the dough relaxes, it's easy to spread. So it doesn't have to fit the exact size of the baking pan. You can make this as thick or as thin as you want it, but the spreading of it, I think, is really important. So I spread it out to where I want it. Okay? And then I leave it like this, put it right back on that bake pan, and I let it sit here while I make the topping. There are many, many toppings for focaccia. This one that we're doing is going to be flavored with garlic, extra virgin olive oil, and we just want to flavor the oil with it. We don't want to cook the garlic until it's brown. And here we have some rosemary needles. So they go in. You just want to flavor that oil with this mixture. If you don't know what rosemary is, this is it. See? And you can find it anywhere, and you just take it off the stem like that. So we're just going to let this seep. Once I have it soft in there, I'm just going to turn the heat off. And when that's cooled down, well, then we can spread it over our focaccia. We're going to grate some Pecorino Romano cheese. Pecorino Romano is a DOP cheese. And it's a sheep's milk cheese, so it has a nice salty taste to it. It's used in a lot of different recipes. And this cheese has to follow certain rules in order to be a DOP cheese. And it's mainly made in Tuscany and Sardinia and in Lazio, those three regions. And I remember once when I was in Sicily, I actually worked with a Pecorino cheese producer, a little guy named Toto, and he could make cheese faster than you could blink your eye. So there, we've got plenty of Pecorino Romano cheese to top our focaccia. So I'm just going to put that in a bowl. We're not going to need all of this. You could put on as little or as much as you want, but I got carried away talking to you. See, I got you again on the focaccia. And while I'm thinking about that, here is our focaccia dough. You see how it's relaxed, spread out even more, see? This dough can make 2 focacce. You could make 2 smaller ones, but I'm using the dough to make 1 big one for you, but you could actually divide it in half and make 2. And here's the beauty of the plastic wrap, see? No struggling with sticky hands to do this or that. Just comes right off. I should have stock in that company. Okay, so now we have our infused rosemary. I'm just going to take some of that, see? Pour it right on here. Oh, I wish you could smell this. It really is smelling great. So you just spread it around with a brush. You don't want to use too much oil, otherwise it's going to be too greasy. Just get those rosemary and garlic pieces out. Spread it now. Like I say, focaccia has many different toppings. You could do anchovy and tomato. You could do an olive one. You could do just black pepper and cheese. And there's just many, many, many variations of this. But I think it looks pretty with the rosemary. Put some over here. Okay. And if you have any oil left over, you can always use it in cooking. All right, that is looking beautiful. Our oven is on at 375 degrees. Before I put that in, I'm going to give it a nice grinding of black pepper. Okay? And this is always cut in a square to eat. It's not going to take very long to cook, maybe about 20-25 minutes. Here goes the cheese over the top. See? Beautiful. I'm ready. With this, with a salad, a glass of wine, what's not to like? All right. That is actually ready to go. So in the oven, we will put it. If you want to let it rise and get puffier, you could do that. You could wait 10 minutes and then put it in. But I'm happy with the way this one looks. So it's going in. So, there you have it. Scaccia, focaccia, I gotcha. Today was all about being in the know about dough. And I showed you several ways to work with dough. Either dough that you buy from the grocery store ready to go, or dough that you have made at home by hand. And for the grocery store version of dough, we used it to make scaccia. And the scaccia is a Sicilian bread loaf filled with tomato sauce and caciocavallo cheese from Ragusa. And then we made this beautiful focaccia. And I showed you how to make the dough with several little tricks that'll help you make it very easy in your kitchen. We topped it with rosemary and garlic and pecorino romano cheese, all ready for the eating, either as a luncheon snack or you could have it with a salad for supper. So there you have it. And until I see you nella cucina again, I'm Mary Ann Esposito. Ciao!